Welcome to A Window to Bourne. I'm your host, Mavis Robinson, and my co-host, Captain, is right on set with us, joining us, and we're thrilled to be here for part 2 of our conversation with Bob Parady. Bob, thanks so much for coming back.
Happy to.
Nice to see you.
Thank
see you. So last time we were here, we really we sort of did like a step-by-step walking through Monument Beach together, and there was a couple of spots that I wanted to talk about and touch on, and I was hoping we could jump right back into to that. So one of the little images from Old Bourne that has really fascinated me are pictures of the Norcross Hotel. And I know that you've been there and that you've got some experiences, so I wonder if you can just tell us about it, because I was surprised that there was ever what looked like a gorgeous, elegant 4-story hotel right in the heart of Monument Beach.
Yes.
So tell us about the Norcross.
Yes, I even to this day in my office at the table I usually meet with clients, I have a picture of the Norcross in its better days.
Yeah.
And it usually draws someone asking, what is that, where is that, and so on. Even people who have lived in Bourne their entire lives. But from what I'm told, because it's way before my time, probably in the 1920s, the Roaring Twenties, that was, from everything I've learned about it, was a very active hotel, and attracted people from all up and down the East Coast primarily, and a lot from the New York area, New York City area.
Yeah.
And of course, at that time, the region had a very active rail system.
Yes.
That was run at least seasonally, and stopped at the Monument Beach Railroad Station, and passengers embarked and disembarked, and there was always someone there to take them up to the Norcross Hotel, which was just around the corner and up the street, right on Finney's Harbor.
Now,
beautiful spot.
Right now, is it a private home? Is there anything in place of where it used to be?
Yes, for decades it remained vacant.
Okay.
Why, I don't know, but as I understand, the Tedeschi family of Tedeschi stores,
of all the shops, yes.
Yeah. Purchased it.
Okay.
And ultimately built a gorgeous house out there and restored the dock that the Norcross used to have its own dock.
Yeah, yeah.
Tedeschi built a dock, and that's what's on the site today.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But it was an active hotel. When you think of, Monument Beach, even when I grew up in the 50s, was fairly quiet.
Yes,
and
sleepy.
And not this place where people, maybe every couple hours poured in on a train.
Yeah.
And it was
where were
bustling.
they coming from? You said all over New England?
All over the East Coast.
Yeah.
The train ran up the East Coast. It came in from all different areas into New York City.
Okay.
And then came up the coast through Connecticut and Rhode Island into Massachusetts. Ultimately on that line, went down all the way to the ferry to go to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, all the way to Woods Hole.
So
now, during your time growing up, was the train still bringing passengers to?
Yes.
Oh, it was. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
They still had the train. I have memories of, and this is very young, of going with my grandmother.
Yeah.
Who lived just around the corner in Monument Beach, all the way to New Bedford.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And
hopping on the train right in Monument Beach?
Yeah.
Going over the railroad bridge?
Yeah.
Yep.
She never drove
Yep.
a car. She never got a license. But we'd go to the Star Store. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, in New Bedford.
Okay.
on New Bedford's Main Street in those days. That was the big store to shop at.
So like a Macy's type department store?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And at one time, even before that, there was a trolley.
I heard about that.
That came all the way down, came down County Road, turned onto Beach Street, and went down to the train station. I'm not sure if it went any further than that, or then turned around and went back. But
now, how would that trolley get used? Was it local riders would hop on?
Right.
Okay,
mostly local riders, but they could take the trolley and get to the train station at Monument Beach or that area. But
and it's a shame that we lost that.
I know it.
I feel like one of the difficulties of drawing people to Bourne to live is that you have to have a car, and it's impossible to get. It's very difficult to get any place with public transportation.
Right. They've installed. I'm glad to see they tried it. I was chairman of the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority Advisory Board for 19 years.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And we put in place so many services, the B-Bus and all of those, but we never got into fixed route services just because when you did surveys and everything else, people said they wouldn't take the bus.
Right.
They've got my car, and I want to park in the space that's closest to the front door. And I don't want a bus that I've got, and I want to leave right now. I don't want to wait 10 minutes to get a bus. And Tom Keir, who's now the administrator of the authority, they have put in place, you've probably seen them, fixed route buses that you can, there's no stops per se. You can come out in front of your house and wave it down and they will pick you up.
And are they in Bourne?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And they have the thing on the front, it might say, Mashpee Commons. So if you want to go shopping in Mashpee Commons and don't want to drive, you can take the bus. And it goes to Hyannis, to the malls.
This is amazing. I didn't know that.
So I don't know, I haven't seen ridership statistics. It'd be curious, but again, it's very hard for no one, like myself. I hope as I get older, the one thing that I can always do is drive. But you hope that day never comes that something happens. That you can no longer drive. It's really hard on seniors.
Yes.
And we do have good services like the B-Bus and so on, but not services like they had in the 20s.
I know. Knowing that you could just pick up the trolley and it's regularly going. The people won't show up for it until the service is regular and frequent.
Right.
But you can't make the service regular and frequent until you have the people.
You have to have the people,
It's a chicken and egg situation.
The last thing I remember growing up, and I'm not sure of exactly what age, I was probably 10, 11 in that vicinity in the 50s, that they had what were called Budliners.
Okay.
They were self-propelled railroad cars. So like if you took a car, you had your engine with a bunch of passenger cars. So if you took one of those passenger cars out and put an engine in it so that it was self-propelled, that's what these were. And they could hook up in series. You could have 3, 4, 5, whatever you needed. And I used to take that, myself and some friends, Saturday afternoon, we'd go over to the Buzzards Bay Theater to see a movie. And it was, I think, 10 cents to ride over to Buzzards Bay, and 25 cents for the movie, and then back again. And they had that service. That was the last service before all rail was abandoned. And now it's a shame.
What do you think? How is that?
Again, I think it we're victims of our own success, if you want to call it success, in many ways. When you think back to when the train was king, we didn't have the air travel that we have today.
Right.
We did not have the highways we have today.
Right.
If you think of a trip to Boston during that time period, or a trip from there to the Cape.
Yeah.
If you were going down,
you wouldn't drive from New York to,
right.
Boston.
Oh no, that'd be like a wagon train trip.
Right.
In those days, because the roads were not—they were all local, small roads.
Yeah.
And I even remember when you had to go almost all the way. I had a girlfriend who was up the line. You had to go almost to Middleborough before you got on a 4-lane highway.
Wow.
You stayed on Route 28 through
Yes.
Wareham and all those areas until you finally reached the highway, and it might have been what's now Exit 3, Stone Village.
Yep.
Was where you finally got on the highway for a while.
Yeah.
So even at that time period in the early 60s, there was no route 25 to the Bourne Bridge.
Right. Right.
So,
well, and when you say a victim of our own success, I'm sure there was a lot of traffic when those little roads were there.
Exactly.
But, the traffic has gotten better, but those little, the Cranberry Highway and downtown's Buzzards Bay, those businesses used to have cars driving by, constantly.
Yeah.
And it feels like everybody's just,
We didn't
bypassing.
oppose it. I was a selectman, and when the idea came about to bring Route 25 to the Bourne Bridge from that exit that I used to get on, and they had a plan for the south side as well.
Oh, okay.
Once you went over the Bourne Bridge, there wouldn't be a rotary anymore. There was a whole interchange.
Right.
And there would be a road, it was called the South Connector Highway, that went through parts of what is now the military reservation until you got to the Mid-Cape Highway about Exit 2.
Oh, wow.
And then you merged in.
So those would have been connected? Oh,
Yes.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we actually asked the state to do the south side first.
Yeah.
We said, get that done, then bring the highway to the Bourne Bridge once you've got the south side fixed. Now they wanted to do it
Yeah.
fine. And we didn't oppose it, and I'll tell you why. If you took a group of 10 cars on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, like you were talking about, that were on Cranberry Highway, Main Street of Buzzards Bay, the bypass in Buzzards Bay, and you and I couldn't move, so we stayed home.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, out of those 10 cars, we used to call them unintentional stops.
Okay.
They said, oh, geez, I'm stuck in this traffic.
Might as well get an ice cream.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
It's time to eat. I need some gas.
Yeah.
There's a gas station. They were heading somewhere else.
Yes.
Down Cape.
Yep.
They had no intention of spending any money in Buzzards Bay or Wareham. It just happened, but it was only a couple. So the other 8 cars just clogged everything up. So we said, let's take all 10 cars, put them up on the highway, out of our local streets.
Yeah.
Now the key is to get 3, 4 of those cars before they even left home to say, we have to stop in Buzzards Bay on the way down because.
Right.
Because.
Yeah.
Because I never could fill in that blank. No one I know has filled in that blank yet.
Yeah.
We tried.
Yeah.
We had ideas, but we just when you think of the Mid-Cape Highway, until you get down to Orleans, you don't really even see any businesses.
Right.
You're in the woods.
It's just green.
Yeah. And there's some places you see, but you have to go around Robin Hood's Pond to get to them. But is Hyannis starving?
right.
You have to get off of the Mid-Cape
To go.
into on 132 into Hyannis.
Yeah.
They're not dying.
Right, right.
So why can't people get off Route 25 and come into Buzzards Bay, which is a lot closer than driving into Hyannis?
Yeah.
But there's things in these other towns that they have that are pulling the people off intentionally.
Yes, yes.
Even if it isn't their final destination.
Yeah.
That isn't happening in Bourne.
Right, I know.
Unfortunately,
I know.
now most of all those 10 cars are staying on the highway
Yeah.
and not getting off. None of them are getting off.
But the potential is really there.
course
I mean,
it is, yeah.
the Cape Cod Canal and the
Yeah.
there's a restored train station that the Buzzards Bay
Yeah.
depot has
Yeah.
been restored beautifully.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And the bones of an incredible town as lovely as Woods Hole.
Right.
I mean, we should have.
Yeah.
We've got the Marine Center there.
Yeah.
We just I don't know.
So many, when I was a selectman, we poured, was it not coming out of my pocket, millions, and I mean literally millions and millions of dollars into the public infrastructure.
Yeah.
It started with the Buzzards Bay Marina. Everybody running for selectmen, me included, we're going to build the Buzzards Bay Marina. And
Yeah.
then I got elected and I said, how in God's name are we going to build the Buzzards Bay? But we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Barry Johnson and I primarily were instrumental in getting grants and everything. We built the Buzzards Bay Marina. That was going to help out. We were going to put all these people in Buzzards Bay on boats that are going to want services.
Yes.
And, that's business will grow up around that marina. Didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
We got a nice marina.
Yeah.
So the Buzzards Bay Park.
Which is beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful. We did that.
Yep. Yep.
We got grants for that. And I mean, the first thing we did was stood in front of the old Buzzards Bay Theater and glance out and say, there was a big old rusty oil tank. There was a big Donnelly advertising sign, just blocking view of the railroad bridge and everything. And those are the first things we did. We got the sign down. We got Grossman's to take the tank out, get that out of there. It didn't cost a dime. Just start cleaning things up. Sewerage was the ultimate thing. We got 100% funding for the residential people.
Wow.
They didn't have to pay a dime.
Wow.
We got 90% funding for the commercial, so they only had to pay the 10% local share.
Yeah.
And we thought, gee, that's always been a drawback in Buzzards Bay because you can sit in front of the railroad station on Main Street. There's a drain there. Go there on a nice day like today. People wonder what in God's name you're doing staring down in this drain. Well, you will see the tide come in in that drain.
Oh, wow.
You'll see water coming towards you.
Yes, yes.
As the tide comes in from the canal and the surrounding areas. So to put septic systems in the ground,
it's just going right into
do it.
Right.
You can't build a big building in Buzzards Bay without sewerage. The ground is not suitable, so we put in the sewerage. Of course, today now we find out that we need more gallonage. I think it was 200,000 gallons a day, which we thought was plenty for the current and growth.
Yeah.
Now we find out 25 years later that it's not enough.
Right. Yeah.
And we do have people waiting and wanting to build things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they'll probably happen. They'll loosen up some of the.
And actually, it's funny. We started talking about the Norcross
Yeah,
in
right.
Monument Beach,
How
but
do we get
there's
to-
talk of a new hotel in Buzzards Bay.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yes.
that seems like something that could
Exactly.
bring travelers and
Yeah.
I know from my personal experience. Had a lot of guests this summer at my house,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of places to stay in town.
No, there isn't.
So
But getting back, let's get back to the Norcross. I'll tell you some just interesting stories. I to this day I still have the calluses from playing guitar. Right?
Okay.
I have, I think, 10 electric guitars. I don't know how I play them all at once. But
Yeah. How did you get started? Just picked it up?
you know, the Beatles and.
Yep, yep.
I think my mother bought me my first guitar, a Silvertone at Sears and Roebuck.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And a little amplifier about this big, you know, and we formed our first group and so on. But this is several years later. Now we've got big amplifiers and better guitars. And we were looking for places to play. We did dances in the high school and all that. And
So this is your high school band. You're around 16?
No, I'm a little old. I think at this point, it may have been my first year. It may have been 1965 before I went to college.
Okay.
I mean, I was going in the fall, but
Yeah.
it was the summer. Ooh.
Captain's welcoming
Yeah,
our next
somebody.
visitor. Hey, come here, bud. Come on, bud. He's just welcoming the next person.
So we went to the Norcross and got they asked us to play, but I said, you know, our parents will kill us if we go to the bar room at the Norcross.
Right,
because
right,
that's
right.
what it had kind of relegated to at that point.
Yeah, so at the heyday of the 50s, I mean, the
Yeah,
20s was when the it was,
exactly.
but
Now
by the 50s
it was
it
downhill.
was a little,
It was almost that bar room. Very
Yeah.
few guests. So we always told our parents that we were going to one another's house to practice.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know, Billy, Mom, I'm going to Billy Faniff's house to we're going to practice tonight. Okay, and she'd say, I'm going to Bob Parady's tonight. Good thing they never talked to each other.
Right, right.
And then we'd all run up to the Norcross and play there for the evening. Then fight with the guy over how much he was going to pay us,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
he said
yeah.
he was. But he did that several times.
Yeah. That's
But,
pretty great as a young person getting a paying gig
Yeah,
as a
oh, yeah.
musician.
Yeah,
I mean,
we were playing
could-
in old bar rooms.
in
And,
a different world, you could have been, you know,
oh,
Keith,
yeah. Keith
Mick
Richards.
Jagger,
Yeah, Keith
Richards, right?
Yeah, playing the guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was, and then in it was probably 68 that the town got after the Norcross was really going downhill.
yeah.
It was becoming a hazard,
Yeah.
actually fire and danger to people that like me that might fool around there,
Yep.
particularly in the winter time
Yep.
when nothing was going on. And ultimately the town ordered it torn down.
Oh, that's what happened to
Yeah,
it. Okay.
and the
yeah.
owner, or they didn't have the money, or what, didn't tear it down. So the town hired a contractor, tore it down, put a lien on the property.
Yeah.
They ultimately got paid
Yeah, yeah,
at some point.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was the end of the Norcross.
Yeah, yeah.
But an interesting sidelight, the Secretary of State's family has the next to the last house, it's the next to last to Tedeschi today.
Okay.
And when Tedeschi bought the property, they went to them and said, we've been walking for like 30 years across the Norcross property down to our boat and to the beach there. And we still have our boat down there, and would you mind giving us an easement? You know, or something we can walk, and Tedeschi said, no way.
Oh.
And it's Galvin is the Secretary of State, and they went to court. They went to the land court,
Yep.
and the court ruled in their favor.
In
and
Galvin's?
Galvin's.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And gave them a 10-foot easement to walk down to the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was an interesting little
Adverse
size.
possession,
Yeah,
right? You've been
yeah,
using it for so
exactly,
long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Yeah, so that's the story of the Norcross.
Yeah. I was one of the early things as I'm getting to know Bourne
Right,
again as an
right.
adult. I'm fascinated by that image of my mind of the ladies in parasols and long dresses,
Exactly.
disembarking from a train and being
Exactly.
picked up
I
by,
know, at
a
Monument
coachman
Beach.
in Monument Beach,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it looks like it could be,
Yeah.
one of those, any old, like Bath, England, or,
Right.
a beautiful, bustling
Yeah.
seaside town.
I
And,
think when the town instituted zoning in the early 50s, I don't think they zoned that business. So when the Norcross disappeared,
Yeah.
they lost their ability to put another business. Became residential.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and it's too bad. That was a good spot for a business if anybody wanted it.
Yep.
But
Well, and it's a difficult back and forth because now
Yep.
that I live in Monument Beach,
Yeah.
I love the quiet, sleepy aspect of
Right.
it. Like I'll sort of, be at home on a Saturday and I'll look at my phone and see traffic, red lines
yeah,
of
right.
traffic everywhere, and it's as peaceful as anything
I
in my
know.
little neighborhood.
I've always said we've got these little getaways, Clay Pond Road, Barrow's
Yes.
Landing Road. All those people are up there fighting the traffic, and we just beep.
Yep.
It's like jumping down a little rabbit hole.
Yes, exactly.
And we go to this beautiful area
Yeah.
that they don't even know about.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
probably we don't want too many of them to know about.
Right,
They're
right.
weekend escape.
I know.
As
I
long as we
know.
stay there for the weekend,
Yeah,
we're
as long
safe.
as long as you plan, as long as you
Yeah.
don't need to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, oh, geez,
yeah, yeah. Yep.
But-
Although, and so that's the other side of that struggle is, the needing to drive 20 to 30 minutes to get to a grocery store.
Right.
And if you haven't planned properly,
Yeah.
having to try to get to Market Basket
Yep.
on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday is,
Forget it.
4-hour journey. So,
Yeah.
But luckily, we still have, Gray Abel's Market is in town, and
Yeah,
they're
they're
a full
doing
service.
well.
Yeah,
I was glad to see that come back again.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
There was so much. Monument Beach had a Canada Dry bottling
Oh,
company.
right,
You
yeah.
could actually watch the bottles
Yeah,
going
yeah.
around being filled in the window.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had the big warehouse for storage and
Right across from the Rivendell Marine, that
Exactly,
building there.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
And Rivendell was Perry's Boatyard.
Yeah, yeah.
In those
yeah.
days, and it looks pretty much the same as
Yeah.
it did years ago.
Well, Bob, I just wanted to thank you so much
You're
for
very
joining me
welcome.
again. I love talking to you. I love the unique perspective that you
Thank
give
you.
from your personal experience and then your political work in the town.
Thank you.
And just
I
really
enjoy it.
appreciate this visit.
Yeah.
So, and thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you again on A Window to Bourne.